So we figured we'd make up for some lost time here, and because we had to go in hiding for a couple of weeks, I'd do a twofer. And this episode's beer is sponsored by.
It's called Atomic Duck IPA. It is coming out of Las Vegas, Nevada, from the Abel Baker Brewing Company.
Yeah. Now, I picked this one just purely on the can alone because I was like, it's got like a
rubber ducky.
A little rubber ducky with an atomic blast underneath it. Speaking of atomic blast, do you ever watch Oppenheimer?
Not yet.
Oh, you got to watch it. It's a really good.
What's it on for free?
Peacock.
Peacock.
Yeah.
I don't have Peacock.
I'll hook you up.
Okay, yeah, because you know what else is on Peacock that I want to watch? That I had heard is on there? The Stormy Daniels documentary.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I know.
See, the thing is, like, when we're not doing this podcast, Snow and I just send each other, different stuff to watch and stuff like that. I like inundated you with a lot.
I know.
Over the last few days. The Quiet on the Set, which is on Max, and The Truth versus Alex Jones.
Yeah.
We could do a whole episode on the Quiet on the Set one.
And we will have to. And you know how I am with documentaries. Like, documentaries are probably my most favorite category of films anymore, Yeah. I mean, I like comedies, but they're not. Hollywood needs to get a good comedy coming out soon.
Well, and they haven't. I mean, I think the last good one is either like The Hangover or Tropic Thunder, like the last really good comedies.
Or Step Brothers.
but that's about the same era.
Yeah, that's the last time I've had a movie where you just laugh your ass off, even if it's stupid. It's like we need something like that to just laugh.
I think in today's culture, it's probably hard for them to do that. Because you got to be really careful. You don't want to be canceled. Like Tropic Thunder. There's no way you could make Tropic Thunder today.
Well, they got a lot of shit for making it when they did. They got a lot of crap.
I remember I went to go see that with my girlfriend at the time, and she has the same sense of humor as I do. Mm-hmm. And there were a couple parts where we were just doubled over laughing. Like, I cannot believe he said that. Mm-hmm. And people were like looking at us like, oh, you two are like laughing a little too hard at that. Like, this is fucking funny.
I know. It's a joke.
Yeah.
This is a comedy movie.
Yeah. Oh, it was when they were talking about Simple Jack and goes, oh, your mistake is you went full. You never go full.
Right.
R word.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, right, because didn't they make the joke that that's how you win an Oscar? Is
you play a slow person, but you can't play a fully slow person.
Right.
And we're not going to use that word because we don't want to get canceled. But
that was also on an episode of one of Ricky Gervais' shows.
Was it? Oh, yeah.
I think the Extras.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Extras?
No.
Oh, it's good. It's a good one. You should watch that one.
Ricky Gervais got heat for making fun of handicapped people in his last special.
They always talk shit about Ricky Gervais. Yeah. I think about that is like, I think that Ricky Gervais is maybe too intelligent for them, so they don't understand like what he's really saying, maybe. Like, I get the message. It's like, first off, look at all the things that Ricky Gervais has done. I mean, like, he's an advocate for animal rights. He does a lot of good things. And then it's like, why are you not allowed to make jokes about it too? No. Like, your mind is, like, the last one was so great because it's like, your mind's going to go there anyways. So why aren't we allowed to say, it doesn't mean that we really believe that, but the thought crosses your mind sometimes. And it's like, I think that sometimes people can't grasp that, even though they themselves are doing it. Like, it's not like they don't have bad thoughts ever.
Yeah.
You know, or thoughts where you're like, boy, I really shouldn't fucking say that. It should not come out my mouth. Or you can be a person like Donald Trump that you just fucking say it anyways.
Yeah. And that's what...
It's terrible.
That's when I'm watching a comedy special, that's what is my biggest laughs, is when they say the thing that I'm thinking, but they say it out loud.
Right. And it's in a setting where they're on a stage telling fucking jokes.
Right.
Like, I mean, that's the thing that probably pisses me off the most about, like, the cancel culture. Like, yes, there are people who are truly canceled. Colin Kaepernick. And he wasn't even telling no jokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, lost his job for a stance.
Fucking canceled, you know? But it's like, it's so ridiculous because there are seriousness things about it, you know? Like, first off, you shouldn't be canceled for telling jokes. But you definitely shouldn't be canceled for using your First Amendment rights either. I mean, my God. Yeah. Well, both of them are using their First Amendment rights because freedom of speech, you should be allowed to tell jokes.
Right. And freedom of speech is also freedom of expression, which kneeling for the national anthem.
Freedom to protest, yes. Yeah. Freedom of assembly.
Which let's go back and revisit that. I think he was sitting during the national anthem, and a veteran told him a more respectful thing to do would be to kneel.
Yes, we kneel at the graves. So then Colin Kaepernick even said, he's like, you're right. From now on, I'll take a knee. Like, he even tried to do that, and that wasn't good enough. Yeah. But, I mean, we both know the reasons why it wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
You know. There's one reason why it wasn't good enough. one reason.
One dark reason why it wasn't.
It was an issue of color on why it wasn't good enough.
Yeah. And so to get to the quiet on the set, and this will keep it brief, but we do realize the hypocrisy of Hollywood and stuff like that. Because if you're one of these people that say Hollywood is full of pedophiles, you know that's not true. Hollywood isn't full of pedophiles. But there are pedophiles in Hollywood. Uh-huh. You know, and certainly if you're a big entertainment company like, say, Nickelodeon or the parent company, CBS, covering that up is not a good look.
My thing, too, is like, okay, I was going to try to volunteer, like, on Sundays. You know, I was going to try to volunteer here. So I had asked, you know, how does one volunteer, like in an old folks home, going and helping out, talking to them? You know, sometimes they're lonely. Their family doesn't come and visit them.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff you have to do to, like, it involves like all these background checks. You have to go do all this. And I'm like thinking, okay, I don't have the time to go do all this stuff while I work a full-time job, you know, to get myself lined up to be able to volunteer. So I kind of gave up on the idea. Why isn't there the same kind of background checks on people who are going to be working with children? Why isn't it protected the same way? You know, if you're in a field where you're working with children, shouldn't there be background checks?
Yes. Definitely, 100%.
Like the criminal ones, as well as like interviewing people and whatnot, because they're a vulnerable population. Just like I understand why the elderly is a vulnerable population. I mean, having people around them, there are people that will go in and rip off old people, you know, go and steal from them. So I understand that. So why isn't there the same protection? And there should be rules like kids working with adults, you're not allowed, absolutely under no circumstances are you allowed to be alone with a child working with them. There needs to be somebody else there.
Yeah.
Like there could be another staff member in there.
Well, and they kind of address that in this documentary where there's supposed to be either the parent or the guardian on the set, but you're all supposed to be only working a limited amount of hours, but they found loopholes how to get away with it.
Right. It's just... I remember my sister used to watch a lot of those shows. I actually never watched the shows. I mean, the only Nickelodeon show that I watched, because I was, kid age before, like, I focused all my time on MTV, was probably the one where they'd get slimed. You can't do that on television.
Yeah. My kids watched the iCarly one for a minute.
Okay.
So, that's the only reason why I knew that one.
Yeah.
But that being said, though, California gets a bad rap, especially in our area. Everybody's like, go back to California. Get out of here. Go back to California. When most of the people who come here from California are conservative.
Mm-hmm. They know where they're moving, or else if they're liberals fleeing the state of California. I'm not saying we don't get any liberals here. We do. We get some. But for the most part, they're going to like Oregon. They're going to Washington. They're going to New Mexico. They're not coming to, or they're going to Phoenix, because Phoenix is, more liberal than us. But they're not specifically coming to the reddest county in Arizona. Those would be the folks who already are conservatives. Yes, I'm going to say that again. For all of you who don't know, there are a lot of conservatives that live in California.
Right.
There are huge swaths of conservative areas in California.
If you look at the map, you've got San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and I think a couple other little blips, and the rest is all red. Sacramento,
Bakersfield,
red. Sacramento, all Northern California.
You got a lot of redness folks in San Diego too. Actually, San Diego is not completely blue.
Yeah, so I don't understand all the hate. Like, I wish just California would just drop off into the ocean. You know what I mean? Even though there's millions of Americans that live, and
those are Americans, and it's like, and yet you say this while you're wearing your flag shirt and claiming to be so patriotic, but you want some of your fellow Americans to just die, right?
Yeah, and the second point is, imagine if Montana had the same population as California. Okay. How would they feel if they had as much representation as a much smaller state? Like in the Senate, we all get 2 senators in each state. So people in Montana have a lot more representation in the Senate than people in California.
Right. They need to break California up into 4 states. Honestly. I mean, with their population, it should be at least 3, but probably 4 states.
You would have northern and southern.
And then 2 other ones, too.
Well, northern, middle, and southern.
Yeah. Central.
Central California.
Yeah.
I don't know. But a lot of it is, and we're going to break down some of the false narratives about California on this, because I agree, California's expensive. Mm-hmm. I don't like paying for the gas prices there. Stuff is expensive, but it's not necessarily all Democratic, Republican. Why this happens? Now, the biggest misconception about California, I think, if you watch Fox News, is it's crime riddled, right? Like fucking high crime, especially in the cities, San Francisco and Los Angeles. Okay. So I looked it up, and this is from the World Population Review. It's a website that you can look up, statistics about populations and stuff like that. Okay. This is not us making this shit up. You can go on, you can look at this up for yourself. Okay?
World Population Review.
World Population Review.
Check it out.
Okay, so the crime rate per capita per state, okay? Where do you think California falls on that list?
I would probably guess somewhere in the top 10. I wouldn't say they were number one, but I would guess that they were in the top 10, like maybe at least 7.
19 per capita. 19. So kind of middle ground. Such a large state, a lot of immigrants, but 19th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They fall behind such states as Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, and even Arizona.
Wow.
Crime rate per capita. Okay? And do you have problems in the cities? Yeah. Stockton is rated per capita 9th most dangerous city. Oakland, 13th. San Bernardino, 14th.
That surprises me that Oakland and San Bernardino are behind Stockton. Wow.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that.
Now, St. Louis is number 1. I think Memphis is number 4. Chicago. Per capita, where do you think Chicago rates? Because we always hear that, right?
If I was going off of what I hear around here, I'd be like, it's got to be number 1.
20.
What?
20.
What?
Per capita.
But aren't there like gunfights in Chicago every minute?
That's what.
I'm always told that there is somebody like died every fucking second there, right?
But per capita, it's 20th.
What?
According to the World Population Review. And you know how the big thing now is with the immigrant situation and how they're saying, because they're busing all the immigrants up to New York City, and crime rates have rocketed, right? Where do you think New York City falls into the top 25? Now, I've already given you St. Louis.
Well, if I'm guessing based off of what I hear where I live, New York's got to be number 2.
New York City is not on the list.
What? You are lying to me. There's no way I can believe this.
The World Population Review might be lying to us. But I'm not lying because I'm basing this
We need to find out who funds the World Population Review.
That's Biden.
It's gotta be.
Yeah.
Or Obama. He's still funding things. Yeah. They probably put him on that board like they did with Netflix. Netflix gave him a deal. I bet you this place gave him a deal.
For being retired, Obama's pretty busy. I mean, he's the shadow president, right? He's directing ship disasters, right? He's running the government. And now he's in control of the World Population Review, too, to make it seem like blue states don't have as much crime as we're led to believe.
Yeah, and I know why. Because he's busy going to Pizzagate, and with a slice of pizza, he's getting a cup of blood of children's blood. This is why he is able to do this.
Well, that's probably why he looks so good.
No, he looks so good because black don't crack. That's why he looks so good.
You said that, not me.
Huh?
You said that, not me.
Why aren't you allowed to say that? It's true.
I don't know. I get canceled in these days.
Black people age really well.
Yeah.
That's a compliment.
I don't think they have all the anxiety that we have wrapped up in us. That's probably why.
How do they not have anxiety?
Yeah.
With the way that they're treated.
Yeah, no, it can't go to Chicago without going on the corner without getting shot, apparently. How did Obama even make it out? Didn't he come from Chicago?
Mm-hmm. He was the senator of Illinois.
Yeah, he made it out. I don't know. The point being is, let's go back and look at those other states that are way ahead of California. Behind Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee. Aren't those heavily conservative states?
Louisiana's a red state. Arkansas's a red state. Tennessee is a red state. It's pretty blue in the cities though. Like Nashville's pretty blue, and I think Memphis is pretty blue too, but the whole state as a whole is still a red state. It's kind of like Arizona, where, Tucson's really blue and Phoenix is becoming more blue,
Okay, so now we're trying to debunk the narrative that California is more dangerous than anywhere else. The one thing I don't like, I mentioned it, the gas prices in California is ridiculous. Now, there's many factors into this. They've had refineries closed down due to emissions laws. California has a different blend of gas that they only produce in California, which is more expensive. But they also have the highest gas tax rate in the nation. It's kind of just crazy what it is. I forget the exact number. I want to say it's probably almost 70 cents a gallon.
Okay.
Okay, which makes sense on it. Okay. But the biggest tax increase rate was signed into law under which governor do you think?
Well, I guess Ronald Reagan, because there's always a lot that comes out about him that I never knew, but I was like a child when he was president.
Well, you're close. You're close. Well, he was before, but it was Jerry Brown. Which party is Jerry Brown affiliated with?
I thought he was a Republican.
He was a Republican.
Okay.
So this gas tax increase that was signed into a bill in 2017. Now you can go up, you can Google this. It's out there. Okay, I should have written down the exact article that I found this in, but you can Google this. And we're not making this up. It wasn't Gavin Newsom.
He's barely been into the gas prices a bit. If somebody thought it was Gavin Newsom, they're a complete fucking moron, because Gavin Newsom has only been the governor for how long? California's always had high gas, right? They have forever.
And that has to do with the fuel, because they need to decrease emissions on it because of the smog problems in LA. Remember when you used to see LA, pictures of LA, and you couldn't even see the skyline because it was just all smog?
Right.
And stuff. And
Phoenix is getting like that.
And that wasn't that long ago.
Right. If you're far enough outside of Phoenix and you're driving in, it's like a big brown cloud.
Yeah, well, Phoenix.
Not the way that we have to come, but so one time I was driving to go to Bisbee, and the way that you have to go there, so you look back and it's like brown cloud. And I'm like, they're starting to more and more every day look like LA.
So if you're looking from the east towards the west, where Phoenix would be.
Yeah.
East of Phoenix.
Yeah, and maybe it's because you're more on the level with them. You know how we're up higher, so we're technically above it?
Well, I think it's probably more like how you're looking back, so the sun is coming from the east to the west. It's probably the angle the sun is.
And maybe it's because from when we drive down, we have to go through all those mountains, and then you get into the area that's really, really flat. So then when you look back, it's flat and you have a clearer view.
Yeah, you don't see the Phoenix skyline from the way we drive in.
Oh, yeah, no, you definitely can't.
Until you're just on top of it.
Mm-hmm. You have to basically get all the way downtown, though, to see it, because the downtown area is so small compared to other cities.
Yeah, well, in the Metro Phoenix area is so large.
Right, it's very spread out.
I think it's probably one of the biggest cities land-wise, I believe, just for area, because it can take a good hour, 90 minutes to get from one side to the other.
Well, yeah. And it's also where you'll have, you could be waiting at a stoplight, and you're in Phoenix, and then you go through the stoplight, and you go through the light, and then you're in Glendale or Scottsdale or Tempe, it's kind of all...
Yeah, well, it's all considered Metro Phoenix.
Right.
But back to California. Now, what governor do you think signed a bill that made it illegal to price gouge on gasoline?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Gavin Newsom.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
You mean he's trying to help out with it?
He is trying to keep prices down.
What?
And now other parts of California are complaining that they're not going to have enough room, for road repairs because he's trying to make sure the gas prices aren't inflated. It's kind of it's kind of weird, Of course, you can't believe everything you read on the internet, so maybe I'm duped, but these studies I tended to read seem factual. I mean, I didn't see it on InfoWars or anything like that. So
then it must not be true.
Yeah. The other thing that California gets shit for is the immigrants on it. All the immigrants. But let's take cities like Sacramento and Bakersfield, who are in really conservative areas. Mm-hmm. What would those farms do without immigrant labor?
They would not be operational. No,
especially Bakersfield. I mean, because I drove around Sacramento a little bit. I noticed a lot of farms on the outside of it. Bakersfield, it's just
all farms.
It's really noticeable in Bakersfield because you come off that hill from Tehachapi into the Bakersfield Valley. It is so noticeable.
Farms everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big farming town.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how would their farms survive without, look at how much of our stuff is grown in California, comes from California.
Yeah.
Who do you think's fucking working on those farms?
Yeah. The food, the produce that we have in our supermarkets more than likely comes from California. Okay? What would we do without that? And what would we do without those immigrants out there harvesting this produce? Because Billy Bob, well, if he's in California, I don't know if he'd be called Billy Bob. He's not out there working in the fields. Chad. Yeah. Chad from Bakersfield isn't out there in the fields, picking this stuff. Well, I don't know if they all pick it. You also have these massive harvesters, too, that go through. But the point being is, I don't know why California gets such a bad rap. I mean, I know your coworkers complain about it all the time.
Every day. Every day there's a crack about California. Even the ones that are from California talk shit about California.
Yeah. I mean, is it perfect? No. And with this podcast is sponsored by the California Tourism Bureau.
Right. Well, and to be fair, the majority of the folks at my work, the reason why they hate California so much is a one-issue topic, or as I like to call it, a gun issue topic.
Okay, so let's look at that one issue, okay? And California does have some of the strongest gun laws in the United States. Okay?
Yes, and I can tell you why. I've done this on the podcast several times.
Well, let's revisit it, because this one's all about California.
Right. In 1968, and you can look this up to find out who was governor of California in 1968. In 1968, then Governor Ronald Reagan did not like the fact that Huey Newton, the then leader of the Black Panthers, was using police radios to show up to police stops where they were stopping and harassing unarmed black people. Sound familiar? Unarmed black folks. So they would show up armed. They would listen to the police scanners, show up armed at these traffic stops to make sure that the unarmed black folks would not get murdered. And they also showed up at, I'm just going to say it was a government building because I can't remember technically which building it was. If it was on the steps of one of the government buildings in California. They showed up armed there, and the folks in power did not like that, so they created stronger gun laws. Reagan created stronger gun laws. And then Reagan went on to create stronger gun laws too. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Brady Bill, but that was created because someone in his cabinet got shot when he was president. When there was there was an assassination attempt on him. And I think the Brady guy, didn't he get like paralyzed or something from the bullets? I don't want to spread misinformation.
He had brain damage.
Yes, he did get definitely hurt. So that's why they created the Brady Bill. So these people who sit there and think that it's always the left who's coming after your guns and imposing stricter gun laws on you, guys need a history lesson. You need to crack open a book.
Yeah, so all these issues supposed issues that they think that California has, they need to look at why this happened, and it's just not because of liberals.
Oh, and I've told people at work this. They look at me like I am telling them some fucking farce. Like I am lying to their fucking face. They look at me like...
Do they look at you like how we look at Alex Jones when he's talking?
Yes. Yes, exactly. They look at you like, what the fuck are you trying to even say to me and get me to believe? And I'm like, and I just say to them, I'm like, once I see that look on their face, I'm like, don't even believe me? Go look it up. Don't even believe me. Go look it up. Go look it up. It's in, you know how I always talk about my favorite museum of all time, the National Civil Rights Museum? Yeah. There's a section in there about the Black Panthers, and it says all this wonderful information in there, too. Probably
with pictures, right? Of
pictures.
On the steps.
Of the, maybe it was state capitol building.
It is a famous picture, because I know the picture you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah. There is, that picture is in there, the information is in there, you can read up on it. And I encourage you to.
And all that is take a little research, like go to the World Population Review website and look up this stuff for yourself, you know. Is crime a problem across the United States? Yes.
Is it a problem across the world? Yes.
Yes.
The more I think about it, the more I think that it's in our DNA. We're related to chimps. Chimps are not nice beings.
Yeah, I saw Planet of the Apes.
They fucking kill gorillas. Gorillas are bigger than them. They fucking kill gorillas. Yeah. Why couldn't we have gorilla DNA? I love gorillas.
You know, and the last one, this will be the last part of this, is they raised the minimum wage for fast food workers up to $20 an hour. Now that sounds ridiculous on the outside, but if you look at it as a living wage, the prices of real estate in California are off the charts. Now, we could look at the homeless problem, and we discussed this on the podcast. If you could be homeless, where would you want to be homeless? Probably LA or San Diego.
The state with the best weather.
Yeah. Because if you're sleeping outside, you'd want good weather with little rain, right?
Right.
So you'd probably try to go to a climate
and and to go with that, how DeSantis famously had his debate with Governor Newsom. Do you want to be homeless in Florida? Not unless you're going to be homeless like on the beach, because Florida's humid as fuck unless you're like right next to that water.
Yeah, and it rains every day at 4:00.
Right. So you probably don't have as many homeless people in your state, Governor.
Yeah. Well, he probably feeds them to the alligators.
Probably.
Let's just say this. We do not know for a fact that Ron DeSantis feeds homeless people to the alligators. This is done for comedy.
But it is our new conspiracy, and we will look into it.
Yes, and if Alex Jones can say stuff, so can we.
We will report back to you if we have found evidence.
And if we get sued, we'll just claim this is for entertainment purposes only.
Right.
So, but yeah, $20 an hour. Now, a lot of the owners of these fast food restaurants are cutting back on employees now, so they're just going to cut the staff.
Right.
Now they're going to cut
go with automation.
They're going to, by go with automation, they'll cut the staff, but mark my words, they will still raise their prices and claim it's because of the minimum wage increase.
Well, because they have somebody to blame. See, they probably don't care either way.
Yeah, they don't.
They're like, all right, so we have to pay the employees more. Well, we'll get in on it too because we can blame them. We can blame these greedy ass employees for wanting to have enough money to support their family. Which, by the way, let me just add this tidbit in here real quick. I remember during the 2016 election, because Bernie always touted, the $15 minimum wage, and there were studies done that involved inflation, the inflation of prices, and how wages have not kept up with inflation since 1980. So back then in 2016, they were saying that minimum wage, if it would have kept up with inflation, it would be at $26 an hour. That's in 2016. So these people are still being underpaid. So I don't understand why normal folks can't think they're still being treated like crap. I mean,
And how do you, people don't believe in raising the minimum wage. Well, if you're going to get that much for flipping a burger. But then if you don't raise the minimum wage, you can't afford housing. Okay, if you can't afford housing, you're going to be homeless. Okay, or you're not even supposed to say homeless anymore, right? You're supposed to say something else.
I don't know that I believe.
Home challenged, home displaced, whatever it is.
I'm sure homeless people still call themselves homeless.
Yeah, but so you're working at this job, you cannot afford a place to live, so you live in your car, you're homeless, and then they're looked down upon for being homeless. Like they're less of a person because they're homeless, degraded. So there's no solution. I mean, I'm sure with the amount of money we put into the military, there's a solution that we come up with, especially in California. Because California, you drive from here, I couldn't believe it because I went to Desert Hot Springs a few weeks ago. You get outside of Havasu and Needles, you don't see shit till you get to Palm Springs. And that's a good 3 hours. There's nothing there.
You see a couple of vacant, what could have been a town or what was a tiny town at one time.
Yeah.
There's a couple of those, but no gas stations. Nowhere to gas up.
There's nowhere to gas up.
No signs of life today.
Yeah, and they don't even give you that warning. This is the last gas for 3 hours.
And you know what? I would like to address this point too, because this one really pisses me off a lot too. People, like you just said, how people complain about, oh, you're going to make that much money for flipping a burger. Next time I hear a motherfucker saying that, I'm going to say, what do you do? Are you in management? Do you not pay attention to what your management actually does? Because where I work, the management, they don't do hardly fuck all. I mean, it's like you're complaining about people who they're actually doing something though. Granted, they're flipping burgers or serving you your food. They're fucking doing something with their time during the day. The majority of the problem I have with is management, because there's always excuse after excuse. Oh, we have to be on phone calls. We can't help you with that. Oh, we can't help you with this. When I'm trying to figure out solutions that go along with my job, I'm trying to help them. Let's figure out solutions to make this process work better, to make our workplace better. They're nowhere to be found. They're not doing fuck all. They're sitting around on their asses. Or are these people saying, oh, for flipping burgers when they're in management and they think they're actually doing stuff, or maybe they're actually honest and they're like, I know I fucking don't do fuck all with my day. I sit around with my feet kicked up on my fucking desk watching TikTok. What the fuck?
On that note, I did have one job where I was in a management position in the automotive repair industry. And I did have a lot of free time during the day.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And look, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not trying to group all management into this, because I know that some managers do actually work. Yeah. Okay. I don't want to get people triggered and like having the righties like snowflake on us, but it's like, no, there are a lot of management people though that don't do fuck all. You know, yeah. They don't. They look good because they have employees that do the work.
Right. And like the management and, especially upper management in bigger companies, and goes above this store manager at McDonald's, goes higher in the food chain than him. But they're all about, hey, let's cut the employees. Who cares if people are waiting in line for a half an hour? Let's jack the prices of the burger up. Mm-hmm. And then you cut the workforce. But then when the corporate kickback comes from the stock buybacks and stuff, they're happy to take that bonus. Yeah. Because it's all about the profit, and it's not about the employees and shit like that.
And that bonus ain't going to the people who have actually done the work.
Yeah. And I don't think, I don't know for sure why the property is so high in California, but I'm sure it's not all a Democrat thing. It's a corporate greed thing. It's property that it has a lot of value. And was it Boys in the Hood that had that scene where they were talking about the crack cocaine epidemic and how they were importing the drugs into these cities? And
yes, I could do the quote. And it was Lawrence Fishburne's character says, "How the fuck is it getting here? We don't have no helicopters. We don't have no boats. How the fuck does it get here?" Yeah. And they're right. These are poor people. They don't have the means to get that shit from Colombia to fucking LA.
Right. And this is all prime real estate. So if you have like a housing project or a ghetto and nobody can afford rent and you kick them out, now they're homeless and stuff like that. Who do you think is going to come in and buy up that property and put up a high-priced condo?
Investment firms.
And this isn't a Democrat or a Republican thing. This is a corporate greed thing, which 9 times out of 10, when we address the problems that we see on this podcast, most of the time it comes down to corporate greed.
Well, they lead us to believe, and they love, and they get off on the fact that they want most Americans to believe that it's a Republican and Democrat thing, which it's not. It's a class problem. It's a rich versus poor thing. It always has been. It always will be. It is disguised as being a two-party thing, and it's not.
And what it does is the powers to be that control the media, and I can say this because this podcast isn't sponsored by jack shit, that it's the corporations. The same corporations will fund both the Fox News and the MSNBC and the CNNs and stuff like that, and the opposing views that make us angry with each other and be, it's his fault over there with a red tie. It's his fault over there with a blue tie.
And they're doing it all because they just don't want to pay taxes.
Yeah.
They just don't want to pay.
And then you buy up the politicians that we vote on who will keep things status quo.
Right.
And if you're an outsider like Bernie Sanders, they will railroad you and make sure you're never in a position of power.
Yep.
And that's what it is, people.
They don't like people that get in there and tell the truth.
We were just going to address the falsehoods about California on this podcast, but we've hit on what the big problem is. And that is the fucking problem. Now, that's not saying if fucking Spotify comes in and offers us $100 million contract to do this fucking podcast, that we wouldn't be part of the big machine if they just said, shh, just shut up about that part. You know what I mean? All right.
I don't know. I'd probably let it slip, and then we'd be in trouble. We'd get canceled.
Yeah. Oops.
Because I don't know that I could,
stifle yourself like that.
I don't know that I could sit there and lie. It's too much to remember. I'm not good at lying. Eventually, I'm like, I can't fucking do this anymore. I've tried lying before.
That's why this
and
thing,
it's like, eventually you're like, this is too much to fucking remember. I'm just going to come clean because you know what? I fucking lied and I'm sorry, but...
All right, I guess we could take Ben and Jerry's as our corporate sponsor.
We could.
They wouldn't mind if we said this stuff.
And could we get paid in ice cream? Would we have the ability to do that?
Yeah.
Because I could go with that.
We could ask them if we could just set up the studio right there in fucking Williston, outside of Williston, Vermont.
Yeah, please come on. We have one episode a week where all we do is talk about your latest inventions and flavors.
I know.
We are not allowed to talk about anything but ice cream and the new flavors.
Wouldn't that be good? Is we just do a podcast where we just taste test the ice cream?
That would be the best job. That would be like basically being an Oompa Loompa that works in Wonka's factory. That would be what that would be like.
So I guess this is why we call the fucking podcast Reality Redemption, because we nailed it. We nailed what the fucking problem is. It's not left versus right. It's not red tie, blue tie, and stuff like that. And it's nothing that Donald Trump or Joe Biden is going to fix. Neither one is going to fix it.
It's always been...
One will make it a little bit better.
It's always been the class thing, though. I mean, when FDR was president, he pissed off the class. He's rich. He was wealthy. He pissed off his friends in the upper class. Pissed them off with his New Deal. Pissed him off. I mean, there's a clip of him saying, let me see if I can get this right. He says, now I have heard that, I'm trying to do even the impression. Now I have heard that my friends do not like that they are going to be taxed at a higher rate. And they have told me that they will move out of the country if I do this. What I have to say to them is, I will miss them very, very much. He was not going to back down. I mean...
That's a pretty good FDR.
Huh?
That's pretty good FDR.
I was trying to do my transatlantic accent because he was very transatlantic. That was back when people talk like that. They don't talk like that anymore.
Okay, so, I guess the point of the podcast is, let's be easy on our friends in California. California does add a lot to Arizona's economy.
Well, when I have heard that they are now the fourth richest world's economy.
Right, not just the United States.
They were number 5. No, okay, so the United States is number 1.
Obviously.
And then it's like Saudi Arabia is up there. I think China's up there. And then that would be number 4 is California now. One state is the number 4 spot.
So all you poor fucks down in Alabama who are collecting welfare.
You are surviving because of California.
Yeah. And if you want to protest, do not accept those food stamps.
Right. Yeah. Go try to get... tell me how else you're going to eat.
Yeah. And all of our friends here in Arizona, avoid those avocados because either they came from Mexico or they came from California. It's one of the two. And
avoid them. More for me.
Yeah.
I love avocados.
Yeah. So our friends here in Arizona boycott avocados. Boycott oranges. Can't have oranges. Even though your savior is the orange hue.
He has nothing to do with oranges. It's
He
just
has
his.
nothing to do with
That's just his
It's
color of
complexion.
choice when he goes and gets spray tanned.
Yeah.
He's like as orange as his can.
Yeah, he is milky white. Yeah, so again, this podcast sponsored by the Atomic Duck. I don't know if the Atomic Duck shares the same political views as we do.
But we like your beer.
The beer is very good. Very hoppy. I can see why it's called the Atomic.
It's actually a smooth IPA, though. I mean, it's hoppy, but it's not...
Yeah, the hoppy...
It doesn't blow your face off.
It had a very hoppy smell. I thought it would have a very bitter taste, and it doesn't.
It's a lovely beer.
Yeah. All right, so that wraps it up. Hey, we gave you 2 podcasts this week. Snow, I know you're going away to see the eclipse.
I am so excited.
Yeah, so we'll try to, do another one here before you go. And
Okay.
I'll try to call you
Okay.
for the eclipse wrap-up experience from Cleveland.
Okay.
Which you're going to go see the
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
How can you not go to Cleveland and not go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? And I'm also going to A Christmas Story House, because that is also in Cleveland.
Yeah. I went to go see Bruce Springsteen last week in Vegas, and a phenomenal show. He had to postpone the last part of his tour because he had a peptic ulcer, and it was so bad that, because he sang from his diaphragm, he had so much pain that he couldn't sing. And his doctors didn't know if he would be able to sing again while he was going through this. But he fucking played a phenomenal show. 74 years old, played for like 3 hours. Amazing. He played even longer than we saw him.
Once again, proving why he's the boss.
The boss. So you were talking about the Christmas Story House.
A peptic ulcer isn't going to get Bruce Springsteen down.
The last time I went to Freehold, New Jersey, which is Bruce Springsteen's hometown, and I drove past his house, and that was like going to see, Graceland, or like going to the Holy Land.
Fun fact, I think Bruce Springsteen got in trouble for breaking into Graceland when he was younger, before he made it.
He did. I read his book, and because I had a free book on Audible, I'm now listening to the Audible version of it, where he narrates it.
So he reads it to you?
He reads it to you in
awesome.
Bruce Springsteen voice. Oh, it's so good.
That would be...
He is such a great
storyteller. That would be better than me reading the book. I would rather have him read it to me. Either him or the only other person I'd accept reading Bruce Springsteen's book to me would be Morgan Freeman. Yeah. How could you not want him to read to you?
And little known fact, Bruce Springsteen's home away from home is California. He has a place in LA.
Oh, cool.
And he even has come through Kingman. He once did his motorcycle ride through, he went the entire Route 66 and he came through Kingman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, all right, little fun fact. Anyway, we'll wrap this up. We'll try to get another one in before snow goes, and then we'll talk to her while she witnesses the eclipse. And just do me a favor, don't do the Donald Trump where you look directly at it.
I already have the glasses.
You already have the glasses.
Yeah, I already have
right.
The certified glasses.
See, that's why that fucking guy's named Teflon Don, because he looked into an eclipse and didn't go blind.
How the fuck did he not go blind?
I don't know. Lucky, I guess. All right, so on that note, we'll wrap this up, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.